this.
Come on up.
Beetle wing.
By the dark. Hail, sorceress. Welcome to Hera. Suffering spreads every which way you cast your gaze, and on a night most foul. Simply appalling, no?
Indeed, Lady Medea. Unfortunately, I can only appreciate the suffering for so long, as Olympus calls. Though, how fares your research?
Oh, I've been dying to show you. The air here's absolutely poisonous. The conditions? Utterly atrocious. Observe what I have wrought. As you desire.
Night protect us.
Such violence.
Moonlight guide you, milady.
By your will, sorceress.
I'd not expected Lady Medea to be stationed in Hera still, headmistress. To think even a witch of her experience wasn't able to prevent the city's fall.
It was not her responsibility to try. Medea was there to blend with the locals. It seems she's even more successful at it now, with most of them deceased. I trust she aided you in her own way.
To all the enemies of Hades.
Peace, sorceress.
Greetings.
Ah, the sorceress returns. Not had your fill of this putrescent atmosphere? Or merely not succeeded yet in breaking the Titan siege?
Not succeeded yet. Kronos can replenish his forces as quickly as Olympus can repel them. Have you found any weaknesses in their ranks?
They cannot be permanently slain, are barely susceptible to my most noxious poisons, and are single-minded in their devotion to the Titan Lord. Any of those sound like weaknesses? There you have it.
Thanks.
So new to be.
Death to Kronos, milady.
You honor me.
In one forgotten recess of the fallen city, a solitary seeker of profane mysteries conducts her undertakings beneath a pale, distant moon.
I've learned a curse or two from this one.
A pox upon our enemies. Seek vengeance, sorceress. Barley. Fingernails. Give it a stir. A drop of blood. Air bladder. You're back.
I almost pity our enemies, knowing you shall make them rue each night they dare oppose us, Lady Medea. Please, I wanted you to have this.
The nectar of the gods. Why, this shall be most useful to my work, for the strongest curses come from honeyed words. Here, let me make this worth your while.
From one sorceress to another. Thank you. How long have you resided here, Lady Medea? I thought all our forces fled once the city was overrun, but you seem rather comfortable.
Oh yes, all the death and panic made for many vacancies. I slipped in through the shadows soon after the city fell and remained, practicing, observing. Great Hecate has eyes upon the surface everywhere.
There's something nasty in the air tonight. And it's not just you or the stink from town. It must be that witch up to no good. You palling up with her?
If you know of Lady Medea, then you must know she's not somebody to be crossed. She would not hesitate to curse my foes, including you.
Was that a threat? I think it was. You don't go saying stuff like that, not in this town. Your pal knows to stay where I can smell her. Unlike you.
I have seen neither hide nor hair of that Medea as of late. Her charge was far less pleasant than my own. Having to watch over that ghastly tan. I worry she's developing bad habits practicing in such a place.
I've seen Lady Medea recently. She seems rather comfortable in Hera, in spite of what's happened there. Though she always had such a singular interest in curses and the necromantic arts.
Since she was old enough to think for herself, yes. To fend for herself, I should say. She may be my niece, yet she was always far more interested in our blood's other properties. At least she hasn't put a curse on me, as far as I can tell.
Marrow? Onion? She returns. Another nectar bottle you can spare on my behalf? Oh, this shall be a splendid compliment with several much less pleasant ingredients, whose aroma this ought to disguise.
I shudder to think what concoction you have in mind, though trust you shall make use of that in service to our cause.
Glorious Hera has opted to lend you her power, if my senses don't deceive. Your family of hers and come to her defense. Perhaps she shall be favorable to you.
She has been this far. I know the gods can take care of themselves, but we seem to have a mutual understanding and a shared interest at the moment.
How mercenary. And the proper posture with the gods, I think. You needn't second-guess my aid. Great Hecate wills it, so it shall be yours. So many more shades of the dead now linger here. And the earthy aroma, quite unlike before. These crossroads changed since last I visited.
Welcome back to the abode, Lady Medea. What brings you here? And will you be staying with us for a little while?
No, I am Great Hecate's eyes upon the surface. But the night is young, and I've business with the broker there. A surplus of bones to exchange. See you above and below, sorceress.
See you.
The gods of Olympus have not always been particularly kind, yet you, a true blood relative of theirs, would show me favor for little more than carrying out my oath to Great Hecate? Unnecessary, this. I've only curses in return.
You're so much more than your curses, Lady Medea. Perhaps the gods of Olympus and the dead never told you so, but I believe it's true. May moonlight guide you.
With Selene's grace. Charcoal. Pennyroyal. A bit of flesh. Teardrops. Dead coral. Nightshade. Lizard tail. Moly. And there. Ah, welcome.
Lady Medea.
One always could see plain your talent, sorceress. But truth be told, I thought your heart would be a liability. Perhaps, however, I was wrong in that.
I'm thankful for your faith in me. My heart is never so assertive that it would lead me astray. Or so I tell myself anyway.
How fares Great Hecate amid such inauspicious nights? Scarce has she had occasion lately to illuminate this place.
Headmistress seems well enough. I've not once seen hardship ever get to her. But then, perhaps she wears that veil of hers so as to never show even a trace of doubt.
We all wear veils, don't we, sorceress? Great Hecate, she merely puts aside all pretenses about it. Well, good to know that she is still herself, and I remain her humble servant here. I thought you'd never ask.
Moonlight guides you.
And you, Winter?
How fares Medea on the surface lately, from your point of view? Having a grand old time by her account, and Sister Selene seems to think the same. Perhaps I should not be surprised.
Lady Medea does seem very much at home amid all the death and decay which fuels her research. She's always toiling at one curse or another. Is that a concern?
My concern is only for her well-being, and it sounds as though she's all right for now. So long as her research does not come back to haunt her anytime soon.
I'll be checking up on her. You work so tirelessly at your craft, Lady Medea. If I may ask, where do you find the strength for your pursuits night after night?
It's very much straightforward, sorceress. I seek to punish all who wronged me in proportion to the harm they caused. Though have no fear, you're not on any list of mine.
Have you been wronged so often that you need more than one list of wrongdoers? What happens when you've cursed them all?
My lists are based on categories of affront, from mere dislikes to deep betrayals. As for what happens after I've achieved my work, I'll have to get back to you on that one. Oh. I meant to warn you, by the way, to not engage with the big burly lion-maned fellow who sometimes stalks about the streets out there.
You must mean Heracles. We've already met, and I gathered that I ought to keep my distance. He says he serves the gods, but he's a threat.
Oh, he's just a big downer. I cure his injuries, yet still he incurs more, and not even I possess the power yet to cure his spirit. The dead have more cheer than a man like that. Now come, I've curses to concoct. How much has changed with time? It's not as often that I see familiar faces such as yours, or hateful ones. So many fail to understand our ways.
You've always seemed to have ways of making them understand, Lady Medea. Though, do you find you miss living among mortals?
Locating live subjects for my research used to be easier, but that exception notwithstanding, no. A few true friends are better than 1,000 friendly, feigning strangers. Ah, you bear the light of Apollo himself. Well, just remember that he's not the only one who can create a decent plague around here.
Apollo certainly has a broad range of talents. So, he would sometimes cast down plagues on mortal kind. Do you know why?
Why do the gods do anything at all? Simply because they can. Besides, a good plague now and then helps keep the common stock in line.
To all the enemies of Hades,
Come closer. And beetles spit up from your mouths of lies. How much has changed with time? It's not as often that I see familiar faces such as yours, or hateful ones. So many fail to understand our ways.
You've always seemed to have ways of making them understand, Lady Medea. Though, do you find you miss living among mortals?
Locating live subjects for my research used to be easier, but that exception notwithstanding, no. A few true friends are better than 1,000 friendly, feigning strangers. A wandering dead who cannot find your peace. I bid you listen closely to my voice. The moment at which mortal life does cease is not for your despair, but to rejoice. For I can lead you to where you belong, beneath the earth where death and sleep reside. I bid you merely serve me for a song, unto the will of the unseen confide. So mote it be. Come closer. How much has changed with time? It's not as often that I see familiar faces such as yours, or hateful ones. So many fail to understand our ways.
You've always seemed to have ways of making them understand, Lady Medea. Though, do you find you miss living among mortals?
Locating live subjects for my research used to be easier, but that exception notwithstanding, no. A few true friends are better than 1,000 friendly, feigning strangers. How absurd. The very idea of family, sorceress. That we've some innate bond with those who share some of our blood. You've met my Aunt Circe. Do you believe that we're at all alike?
Madame Circe seems very devoted to our craft in her own right. Just not in the same way as you, Lady Medea. Are you so loath to think that you may have something in common?
Circe was never willing to push our practice to the depths of what it can achieve. She would turn mortals into livestock. I would turn them dead. A differing approach is all, perhaps.
You know, for all the dread and despair everywhere I turn, you've come to be a welcome sight, Lady Medea. I'm pleased to know you a bit better now.
Do not profess to know me, sorceress. You know my reputation and express surprise that I do not appear as cruel as it suggests. Yet the greatest cruelties can be cleverly disguised.
I meant no offense. I don't profess to know you well at all, only to say I look forward to our encounters. As for your reputation, I care little for what others say of those such as us.
Perhaps you ought care more, for we are rightly to be feared. And there are those who turn upon us, sullying our names, or worse. Safeguard your trust is my advice to you. have to thank you, sorceress. After you last rampaged throughout this city, I obtained a sample of your blood. Oh, it's very potent stuff.
You're welcome, Lady Medea. Although, moving forward, please ask me prior to using my lifeblood as part of your experiments.
How about I use it anyway, but never mention doing so again? Fear not, I use it only toward a common outcome we desire.
The shades about this place. They're trapped in the decaying bodies of their mortal selves, aren't they? Unable to travel to my father's realm.
I know, right? This is a revolution in the necromantic arts. These shuffling wretches trapped on the very verge of death. I could study them for moons and moons on end. I should be terrified of you.
In such great potency, Lady Medea. So many curses have intangible effects, yet yours pierce like a blade.
A well-wrought curse requires suitable reagents and pure intention without compromise. Any hesitancy, any second-guessing undermines an ill effect.
That I understand. It's the pure intent toward misfortune that I struggle to achieve. How can one wish such ill upon another without imagining some of it turning back one's way?
With practice, sorcerers, ill intent does threaten to reflect back upon oneself, often with greater potency. But with the blackest of intent, there's nothing to reflect at all.
You must know a great deal about mortals. How they live, suffer, and die. Have you found ways to ease their passing, at least?
Why ever would I do a thing like that? Great Hecate herself says that the greatest teacher is out there, but to suffer is to learn. I merely wish to become a good teacher myself.
Mortal cries of anguish and despair do nothing to move you to compassion, or to mercy at least. I find them quite unnerving.
You learn to close your heart to all of it. No mortal has a right to live for long. Certainly there exist those whose skill is to ease suffering. I merely seek to understand its cause. Nig.
You're always on your own, Lady Medea. Are there no family members or loved ones who could be accompanying you in your experiments?
Oh, they are with me in a way, the spirits or the memories. But why suggest that solitude's in need of remedy? There can be times when one could use companionship, but such impulses can be sated, case by case.
Your curses have been of great help, Lady Medea. Oh, if only I had your optimism. You're always smiling, even in such a place as this.
What's not to like? No shortage here of blood for my research, and the dead are wise enough to stay afield of me. Now here, let's cast another curse and you'll be right as rot. Vast is the breadth of our craft, isn't it, sorcerers? For all your studies with great Hecate, I suspect you've scarce learned anything about my areas of expertise.
You're right that my experience is no match for yours, Lady Medea. I've spent very little time with mortals. Still living ones, that is.
Of late, I'm spending little time with the still living ones myself. Most are highly susceptible to insinuation, or at least to certain types of toxins, easily administered in food or drink. She returns. The best protection against curses is to put in place some curses of one's own.